Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful that you're here. I'm grateful to be here. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that you're here with me. You know, Goethe has a saying that says, don't let the things that matter most be at the mercy of those things that matter least. You know, in Empowered Wealth, we've extended that to say, don't let the things that are essential be at the mercy of those things that are very, very important. It's so easy to get caught up because of the internet and the connections that we have globally in things that are very important. Difficult to say no to very important, especially when we don't understand and know are essential. It's one of the first tasks that we do in Empowered Wealth is we try to identify for us what is that essential that's bigger than our horizon. That's a guiding star, if you will, that no matter what we do, we measure against that. When we do that, we have the power to say no to even the very important. May I share a story with you? This is a story about our son, Nick. And after he had lived with cancer for a full year, and I mean horrifically lived with cancer for a full year, we were meeting with one of the two top specialists in the nation for his particular type of cancer. And that specialist looked him in the eye and said, Nick, we need to take out your eye, your nose, part of your half your mouth, and part of your forehead. If we don't do it, this cancer will go right to your brain and it's a horrific way to die. What do you want to do? Now, Nick, for a young man at that time, 19 years old, very strong, said, well, I think I'm going to get a second opinion. So we went to the other doctor up at Dana-Farber. And his response was, whatever you do, Nick, do not get that surgery. So we had one expert saying do the surgery, one expert saying do not do the surgery. Well, Nick, again in his wisdom, said, can we go in and clean out the crud that's in there from the previous x-rays, radiation, and the chemo, and then let's look at it and make a decision after we've looked at it. So he went in for the surgery. They did it. It was quicker than they thought, but they couldn't find any cancer. And this is just after weeks before, going up through his nose, they could see it. It was gone. It was a miracle. Now, we lived with that miracle and enjoyed our time together for a full year. But of course, we're going back on a regular basis to make sure that it's still gone. On the 1-year anniversary, we go back and the doctor says, Nick, I'm sorry, it's back. And it's back on your pancreas and in your spleen. And it's growing fast. You need to be in the hospital tomorrow. Now, of course, his mother and I were devastated. Nick had his head down, pops it back up, said, no, I'll come in on Monday. And he looked right at me and said, book that skydiving trip. So it's exactly what I did. And I contacted a colleague of ours, a friend, a Navy SEAL. His name is Nix, and he arranged it for that upcoming Saturday, which was the day before Easter. Nick and I flew down. We went to a Padres game in San Diego, got up the next morning excited for the jump, and it's raining cats and dogs. He took us to SEAL headquarters. It was the day before Hell Week, and Nick got to go out and climb the same obstacle course that the Navy SEALs did. He was that strong, and he was that healthy, and it was so much fun to see him do that, knowing what was lying ahead for him. Well, we called home. Nick called his family, and Nick and I called our family, and got permission to stay over into Easter Sunday. And on Easter Sunday, with the sun shining brightly, early in the morning, Nick and Nix did a double somersault out of that airplane, mini cartwheels sideways down, things you're not supposed to do, your body doesn't do, but he did them. And Nick came down, he had a grin from here to here, looked me right in the eyes and said, now I'm ready. Let's get on with it. Now, you look at that, and in that moment, when he was asked by the doctor to come in the next day, was that very important? Absolutely, that was very important. Let me show you this. What was more important was this. This is what was essential. Can you see that? That's Nick. I don't know if you can see his face. He's the one on the bottom. Big grin, enjoying every second of that flight. That is just so cool that he got to do that. What a great experience it was for him. And that's living life. He knew his essential. He knew his essential. He knew he was battling cancer, but he also knew he was going to live life by his terms. So when we know our essential, we have this enormous power to say no. And when we say yes to something, we have to ask ourselves, what are we saying no? So do you know you're essential? Do you truly know you're essential? What's bigger? And when you discover that, think about how empowered you get. You take control of your life. You become an attractant. You attract greater relationships, greater opportunities. They just come, and you're at peace. Ask yourself, do an empowering question. Can I discover my essential? I predict that you will. Enjoy this week. I hope this was helpful to you, and thank you for letting me share this very, very personal story with you. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.